What's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning into my channel, Jace's Own World. In this video, I just wanted to make a mention or two about some things on my mind. First of all, I'm making this video on the 1st of November, and it is an election year. So if you guys are old enough, and if you're a United States citizen, go out, and if you haven't voted yet, go out and vote yourself. It doesn't take much time. It's actually very easy. If you haven't registered to vote, I think depending on your state, there are still opportunities to register yourself to vote. And it doesn't matter for whatever candidate you're voting for. I think it's important just to get out there and vote. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So, another thing on my mind, as I'm driving the Ford C-Max here, as you can probably see, I do like this car a lot, and I'm going to be making a couple videos on a few other things here real soon. So stay tuned and you'll be able to check those out. It's going to be regarding some new LED lights that I just got for the car. It's going to be about like the top things that I love about the car, and then some top things that I do not like about the car. But those are going to be in future videos. In this video, I'm just specifically going to talk about, you know, appreciating the cars that we have in our possession, especially for those of you who are in the Mark 7 or in any VW or Audi group or enthusiast. If you have one, it's going to be specifically about that. And what I noticed is that when I have been driving this Ford C-Max, I really like this car. There's a really good things about this car that I really like. But I do miss my GTI quite a bit, guys. And when I say I miss it quite a bit, I mean a lot. My GTI is currently in the garage, just sitting there, not being able to move because the engine is seized, as many of you know. And I've been driving on the Ford C-Max for almost 2 weeks now. Not quite, but almost there. And even though I really like it a lot, it gets really good gas mileage. It's actually pretty comfortable. It has a lot of the tech that I enjoy and I like in cars. It's still no GTI. When I pass my GTI, when I walk past it in the garage, there have been a few times when I have gone inside the car and just sat there for a few minutes and just put the gears through its gear. Oh man. And it just makes me appreciate what a cool car the GTI is, specifically talking about the Mark 7, because you know, when you drive a car for so long and so many times, you get used to it, right? You get used to everything about it. The seating position, the seats, the ergonomics of the car. Since my GTI is a manual transmission, you get used to shifting through gears. It just becomes a daily thing, and you forget how cool the experience of that specific car is. And even though the Ford C-Max is a great car, I'm not getting that same experience. I love it for what it is. It's a great daily, and I love it for that. I would probably say it's a better daily driver, a much better daily driver than the Mark 7 GTI. And so what I'm getting to is that there are certain cars for certain things. And you know, I got used to my Mark 7 GTI that I kind of took it for granted. I loved it, but you know, when I was driving it day to day for many miles every single day, you just get used to it. You forget all the different sensations that you feel in a car. And I now have started to remember the sensations of driving a manual, especially with the short shifter and the weighted shift knob and the clutch. The clutch I know a lot of you have seen many of my videos where I've gone through so many clutches, but the Sachs Performance clutch in that car right now feels so good. The Coney suspension mated with the EMD lowering springs and the 034 Motorsport rear sway bar felt so good. And when I drive that every day, my body gets used to it. I get used to the clutch, I get used to the manual, I get used to the suspension, and I kind of take it for granted. So now that I'm in the Ford C-Max and its suspension is good for a daily driver, but when I think of the Coney yellow suspension and the lowering springs that I have in that Mark 7 GTI, and I notice all the little things that I didn't notice when I was driving my Mark 7 GTI as much. I notice now when I'm driving the Ford C-Max how much worse the dampening in the Ford C-Max is compared to my Mark 7 GTI. The Coney yellow sport suspension and the EMD lowering springs and the 034 Motorsport rear sway bar, honestly, in my opinion, and I have a video about this that you can go check on my review of this suspension, but in my opinion, the best suspension for the street. It was so compliant. It wasn't like soft, but it wasn't stiff. It wasn't harshening stiff to where your back hurts. That suspension was so good, and it soaked up the bumps. The dampening was pretty much perfect in my eyes, and I am starting to miss that quite a bit. What I am also starting to miss quite a bit is the transmission and the Diesel Geek Sigma 6 short shifter and the Sachs Performance clutch. All of that stuff just felt so dang good working with each other. These are the types of things that I am not getting with the Ford C-Max. Like I said, it's not that the Ford C-Max is bad, it's just not a GTI. The Ford C-Max is a great daily commuter. It has enough pickup to actually be pretty fun, and I'm going to make videos on this in the future, but I miss all those things about the GTI, all the user feedback things, all the driver engagement things that I was getting in it that I totally forgot about the GTI because I was getting used to it. And so what this video is really about is not a comparison between the GTI and the Ford C-Max, but really it's about enjoying what you have in the moment, guys. Enjoying the drive, enjoying everything. And I used to say, because of all the clutch issues that I've had with my Mark 7 GTI, that if I was going to do it again, I would have got the DSG, and I really don't know if I would do that. The Ford C-Max is what I'm driving right now. It's an automatic. It doesn't have paddle shifters. It's not fast, so you're not getting all that driver engagement with that, right? So I understand that aspect, but it's so much more boring to drive. I'm not gonna lie. Driving in automatic is not the same experience than driving a manual transmission. Now, I will not say that the Mark 7 GTI's manual transmission is good from the factory. It's actually quite boring. The shifting experience in a stock Mark 7 GTI is not that fun. So it did take quite a bit of money for it to become really good. And now when I go and sit in my GTI and I feel the bolstering from the seats, man, there's such good seats compared to this. It has really opened my eyes to how good those Mark 7 seats are. It's really opened my eyes to how great the Mark 7 layout is and the ergonomics and everything about that. It's such a good car that I honestly don't think that the Mark 7 GTI's interior is ever going to go out of style. I don't think it's ever going to fade away like so many cars feel old so fast. It's such a good interior the ergonomics, the screen layout, where everything is placed, the steering wheel, the seats, especially the tartan seats with the cloth. They look so good, they feel so good. But everything about it is really good. And I miss that. I miss that about the GTI now that I haven't been around it for a couple weeks. So long story short, for those of you watching this video, whatever car you're driving, if you're in love with it, love it. Love what it offers to you for those reasons that make you fall in love with it. Love it that way. If it's a Ford C-Max and you love it and you don't have anything to base other experience off, love it for what it is. If it's a Ferrari or a GTR or a Porsche or whatever really expensive car, love it for what it is. If it's just a pretty simple GTI, love it for what it is. What makes you fall in love with whatever car you have is personal to you, and enjoy it while you can. You know, there's going to be things in life that make us make different decisions in life, and sometimes we have to get rid of certain cars that we might fall in love with, right? For something different, we might have to get something that's more fuel efficient, that's cheaper. You know, sometimes bills come up and life just happens that we're gonna have to get rid of some of our hobbies. So if you have a hobby right now and you're enjoying it, love it for what it is. Because right now I really am missing my Mark 7 GTI, and on the daily I'm looking for engines to put into that mode, that car again, and get it running again, because I want to, you know, I just miss it so much. Yes, it's front wheel drive. I have plans to put a Wave Track LSD into my transmission. Honestly, in my opinion, that's the only thing that my Mark 7 GTI is missing, because it's a base model, S base model, and it didn't come with the E LSD like other specs did. So that's one thing that's really missing on it. But other than that, it's such an amazing car. Yes, it's front wheel drive. It doesn't drive like a rear wheel drive. So even when I'm comparing my GTI to my previous E46 M3, it's not a comparison. But there are things now that I understand about the GTI because I haven't been driving it for almost 2 weeks now. And I'm realizing how great of a car it really is, and how special to me it is. I've gone through a lot with it. It really is part of my life at this point. So I just wanted to make this video about that. Enjoy what you have. Learn to love what you have. If you are connected to it, connect with it. If you aren't connected with it yet, learn how to connect with it. Whether that's whatever it is, it could be the simplest thing. It could be a Geo Metro. I mean, at one point in my life, it wasn't really my car. It was a family car. Shared it with my brothers as well as my mom. But I swear, some people don't know how to freaking drive, guys. And that was a woman. Sorry to say it, but it's usually a woman. Yeah, so what was I saying? It was a family shared car. It was a 5-speed manual. It was a 1981 Nissan Pulsar. You probably have heard it. You probably haven't have heard of it before, but I loved driving that car. Also, my best friend, who's my cousin, had the same car, but it was a 1983, a different color. But we used to race that car all the time. Love that car. Completely gutless. I don't even think it had 100 horsepower, guys. But I learned to love that car. And so what I'm saying is, it doesn't have to be a fast car. It doesn't have to be anything special. If you love it, you love it. It could be a DSG. If you're not into the 6-speed manual or manual in general thing, it doesn't have to be. I'm just saying it's for me because I've owned manuals my whole life, and this Ford C-Max is the only automatic car that I've ever bought. And because I'm so connected with manuals, I miss it. I'm not saying that's for you, but that's just for me. So anyways, I wanted to leave this video that I thank you all for commenting, for disliking and liking and subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell because I'm still going to be pumping out a lot of videos, guys. If you have an idea for a video for me to make, go ahead and leave that in the comment section, and I'll do my best to read it and comment and take into consideration what you guys are looking for out of my channel, because I'm really here for you guys. I'm going to definitely be building up my GTI, so look out for that. But it might take some time. Because it's costly, and there's, you know, especially going into the holidays, there's not much time to be had. But anyways, I wanted to leave this video. Thank you guys for everything that you do for this channel, and I appreciate all the positive feedback and whatever feedback you give me. Until the next video, guys, peace.